So there are two main objectives that we have going into the next milestone. Number one, the tutorial. We had a little bit of feedback when it came to the player communication, and we feel like while the controls are at a baseline level of intuitive design, it's not where it could be. So we're going to have a fully interactive tutorial where the players are, I wouldn't say forced, but they are forced to run through the mechanics, so then they get a good feel for it before going into the actual game. Objective number two is power-ups, because even though we got some feedback about how our game is fun, we want to make it look insane and feel insane and be really memorable in its own special way. So we felt like adding in some power-ups were a really good way to do that. Our Professor Quinton actually had a good idea of the way that we would implement that, so he suggested that we tap and drag it over to the ship, which we loved, so we're gonna take that. And our programming lead, Avery, made it really easy to make all of these really adaptive changes.
So we had 131 people come into playtesting. How are you feeling about all the feedback that you've gotten from that?
I feel really good. I was looking through it for the past couple days, and I was very happy with the results that we got. A lot of them were incredibly positive, which is always something that I'm very happy with.
That's great to hear.
Yeah, one of the outstanding comments was lovely art, so very happy with what the art team has been able to put out. Another one was easy to navigate menus, so my UI team is doing amazing. But overall, I think the one that I was most happy to find was that it was fun. A lot of people said that it was fun, and that's always what I'm concerned about as a team lead, but also the design lead is it going to be fun? Is this engaging to play with? So I'm glad that a lot of people thought so.
My name's Isaiah Thomas Monk. I am design and programmer on the team Brawl Fantasia's Future. I am actually extremely happy with how things are going. Things have been going really smoothly. Haley knows how to really conduct the team. Everyone works together. Everyone gets along together. The process and the design process has been really smooth. Not really butting heads. Even though there's a lot of designers, a lot of people with great ideas, we all coincide. We all know when to give and when to take when it comes to ideas. And the design process has just been really smooth. Working with everybody from Haley to Avery to Kyle, it's just been a fun design process, honestly.
So you're a designer and programmer for this team.
Yep.
Yeah. So what does that entail? What all are you
Since I work in a kind of a hybrid role, I almost represent the programming team a little bit when it comes to the designing. So when it comes to like more of the design things, such as making the buttons work, player feedback, stuff like that on the programming side in there. But I'm also helping with design ideas, like we should do this. It's easier for programming, stuff like that. It just goes hand in hand.
Got it. So you're kind of the liaison between the two.
Yeah.
You're like, this is when you're with programming, you're like, this is the design we want to integrate.
Yeah, with programming, it's they go really hand in hand. That's how I could explain it.
Yeah.
So Haley has done a really good job of keeping us on track in terms of scope. She really came in and it's just like, we're going to fundamentally do what the game needs, and then everything else comes later. And now that we're at that everything else comes later, we've got room for stretch goals. So our programming efforts have kind of been cut in half, with one side focusing on polish and the other side adding in stretch goals that are going to improve the experience, namely power-ups. Now, I just talked to the design team a little bit, and we've got plans to add power-ups for multi-shot, bigger cannonballs that deal more damage, kind of just shake up the gameplay a little bit. And then on the other side, we're very much implementing the advice that we've gotten from our playtesters and trying to create an even more polished experience.
Since the last time we talked to you, what have been the changes or improvements in programming?
So one of the main things that's kind of throwing us off is when Avery, our programming head, programmed the game initially, it was entirely based off of mouse inputs, which was one of the things I had to go back and change because mouse inputs didn't work on the touchscreen. And so all of Avery's code work, it was my job to go in and make it like touch input friendly. But sort of the remnants of that is that we have two separate systems in the code, one for touch inputs, one for mouse inputs.
Okay.
And so we've been having some issues where someone will go back and fix something, but only in the mouse input or only in the touch input.
Okay.
And so one of the fixes that we thought we had like finished for the playtest didn't actually make it to the playtest because it was only fixed in mouse and not fixed in touch.
What was that fix? What was it supposed to do?
So our line render wasn't going, it was like getting all weird and janky. It was something that I figured out with the Z-axis of the line render.
What's a line render?
So the line render is when you shoot one of our cannons, there's this little trajectory arc with like these little semi-transparent dots that kind of show you where you're shooting before you shoot. And so the line render is the piece of code that does that.
Okay.
And so there was a fix on the line render that I did that stopped it from getting all wonky, but that fix didn't transfer over to our touch inputs, which was the build we were using for the playtest.
Okay.